Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, published in 1969.
This here is Billy Pilgrim, an optometrist and former chaplain's assistant in the U.S. Army.
Let me go, soldier. Let me go.
He was captured by German soldiers and was an American prisoner of war in Nazi Germany. He was captured by Tralfamadorian aliens. On his travels to the planet Tralfamador, he is put on display in a zoo naked. He was given a lover who was a former pornographic movie star. However, in New York, he did have a wife. She died. The bombing of Dresden. Billy was in the slaughterhouse. He went out to see what the loud noise was.
Oh no, they're dead.
Over 250,000 people were dead.
Slaughterhouse-Five is an autobiography that has science and historical fiction. There's multiple timelines in this book, the main ones being World War II, the Vietnam War, Cold War, and the alien abduction. Billy Pilgrim is the main character, and he experiences life out of the normal order because of time travel, and he acts very laid back as if he doesn't care about the events that happen. There's multiple timelines in this book, so the setting takes place everywhere. The main ones are Germany and Dresden, Ilium in New York, and a planet called Tralfamador. In Slaughterhouse-Five, there are many conflicts in the book, but the two main ones is Billy Pilgrim unstuck in time, and him just trying to live through the war. He was unstuck in time because throughout the book he was time traveling from the war and the bombing to his job and back to the different planet Tralfamador. All of the events were happening to him all over again and in a different order than it's supposed to be. And he's just reliving a lot of that trauma, and that brings up a lot of conflict in the story. He tells us that he knows when he's going to die, but he doesn't do anything about it because what the Tralfamadorian people were teaching him was that a person never truly dies and that they're always going to be alive, like through memory. There are many literary devices used to portray the aspect of the story, and they use foreshadowing, imagery, irony, and metaphors. Billy Pilgrim already knowing about his death, that's already foreshadowing to death is unescapable. Then we have the bombing of Dresden, which uses lots of imagery to kind of portray what's happening and what things look like while he got out of the slaughterhouse and everyone was dead. Irony is also used in the book as the bombing of Dresden when Billy was still inside the slaughterhouse, and when they got out, all the people outside were slaughtered. And so that's kind of ironic because they were inside the slaughterhouse, and the ones outside were the ones that died. It also uses metaphors in the book, and a really big metaphor that's kind of throughout the whole book is the alien story, how he was, kidnapped by aliens. And this is kind of like a metaphor to PTSD of what he experienced in the war. And it kind of just illustrates like the trauma he went through and like.
Slaughterhouse-Five explores the destructiveness of war, particularly through the lens of the bombing of Dresden, highlighting the trauma and absurdity. It explores the horrors of war, especially the bombing of Dresden, while questioning the idea of free will through the trauma and time travel experiences of Billy Pilgrim. These themes, though rooted in World War II, reflect universal truths about violence and the human condition.
Now I'm going to be talking about why Slaughterhouse-Five was banned. This book was banned due to its anti-war message and violence. It was banned in many places starting in the 1970s in school districts. Some even say that it has sexual and inappropriate language, leading to the ban of this book in schools. The general timeline consists of the 1973 of the book being anti-American, and the 1974 where it was banned in Drake University due to its explicit content. 1980s where it was removed from most curriculums. 2001 where the book was challenged in Texas. There are still debates happening in this day and age discussing if this book is appropriate for students or people in general. Censors took issue with Slaughterhouse-Five primarily due to its explicit language, sexual content, and anti-war games. It was frequently challenged or banned for its use of profanity and the depiction of sex and what some saw as unpatriotic view of war and authority. Kids in high school should have a chance to read this book, but should have a mentality that it was written in World War II and they didn't know any better.
I believe this book is appropriate for high schoolers to read because although there might be some vulgar language or explicit content, high schoolers should be able to handle it with maturity. World War II wasn't all, happy smiles and rainbows. He got taken by the Germans while he was an American. It wasn't an easy story for him to go through. And obviously he was an adult and there's a lot of adult topics, but high schoolers should be able to handle this topic with maturity. I think that people should be able to read what they want to read if they're in the right state of mind to know that you don't always have to agree with what you're reading. So don't put the book in elementary schools, but if you're above a certain age, you should be able to read the book. It shouldn't be banned.